This is the Matt Painter Show. Here is your host, Rob Blackman.
Good evening and welcome, and so nice to have you with us on this Monday night as we talk Purdue basketball. I am Rob Blackman, and this is the Matt Painter Radio Show, and what a show we have lined up for you tonight, Purdue basketball fans. We're going to talk about what just happened this past weekend in Portland, Oregon. Purdue headed to Portland last Tuesday as the 24th-ranked team in the country, knowing that they had, just a little bit to prove that they belonged in the top 25. I think it is safe to say the Boilermakers certainly did that, winning the Phil Knight Legacy Tournament, beating West Virginia, as well as Gonzaga and Duke en route to the championship. And not only did Purdue bring home the Phil Knight Legacy Tournament Championship trophy, but they also found themselves ranked in the top 5 in the Associated Press poll, which was released earlier today. And in case you haven't noticed, we're riding quite a wave of positive emotion with the Purdue Athletic Department as of this last couple of days, as we want to give out a huge thank you and a huge congratulations and a huge tip of the cap to Jeff Brom and the Purdue football Boilermakers, the Big Ten West Division champions. So I think we're having a pretty good weekend. So why not just continue and have a great week here this week as we talk Boilermaker basketball. The head coach of the Boilermakers, Matt Painter, is not with us tonight. He's at practice. Purdue travel party arriving back here in West Lafayette at the Purdue Airport at roughly 4:15 in the morning this morning. So that's altered some schedules, which means Coach Painter and the rest of the Boilermakers are at practice. So our Director of Operations for men's basketball, Elliot Bloom, is my guest tonight on the Matt Painter Show. Here's what you need to know about Elliot. If you ever listen to the show, and when you call in, which we typically have callers, folks ask about, hey, Coach, what about your hotel? What about your travel? What about your food? What about this, that, and the other, the uniforms? What does Coach always say? He always says, I don't really know. You'll have to ask Elliot. Well, tonight, this is your chance to ask Elliot. The phone number, 1-888-246-2678. You want to know what happens behind the curtain, behind the scenes with Purdue basketball? Elliot Bloom is a guy that can help you. So you might want to have take this opportunity, I should say, for your chance to ask Elliot, like Coach Paint always tells you to do. When we come back, we'll start taking your phone calls, and we'll start talking Purdue basketball. This is the Matt Painter Show. It's brought to you by GEMCO. It's on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Deflected, stolen away. Filipowski reaches out and grabs him.
Just a good deflection and really smart by Lawyer to jump it.
Like free throw attempts for Purdue as their opponents.
And they make more than their opponents even attempt. Now you got a Mouse in the house, Roach on first. What a pass.
You got a Mouse and you got a Roach. You got some problems right now. Shot clock at 5. Jenkins, tough turnaround, yes.
That does not bother David Jenkins to be in a late clock situation. Jenkins operating late in the shot clock. Got a little bit of help from Ryan Young there. That's a big-time shot. He's just got a great feel as a post player.
Redshirt freshman, pretty good backup for Zach Edey at the 5 spot.
Boy, if Purdue plays this way without Zach Edey on the floor, this is a formidable squad that Matt Painter has put together. Smith's so good at feeding the post, uses ball fakes.
So tough to stop when he gets to that left shoulder.
Purdue gets everybody off the left side to allow him to go one-on-one in the post.
Gillis, a nice cross-court look to Smith.
What great passing.
Can't do it any better than that.
That is just big time. For this Purdue team is just excellent. Great pass by Braden Smith, gets it to Moore.
Lawyer off a screen. Long rebound to Smith. And Edey one-on-one overpowers Mitchell for the slam.
And Morton with another great pass. And Zach Edey, we talked about that left shoulder. And Mark Mitchell tried to get...
You want to drop? There he is, coming up with a steal and off to the races. You want to call him an elite glue guy, or is he above that level?
This is the Matt Painter Radio Show, brought to you by GEMCO Constructors, live tonight from Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union. You catch us here at Walk-Ons every Monday night talking Boilermaker basketball walk-ons, where it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana. And a huge thank you to GEMCO Constructors, supporting your Boilermakers as the presenting sponsor of the Matt Painter Show and a proud partner of Purdue Athletics. GEMCO Constructors, Boiler Up. Elliot Bloom, the Director of Basketball Operations for the Purdue men's basketball program, is my guest tonight, filling in for Coach Painter as we review what was one heck of a 4-day stretch for our Boilermakers in Portland, Oregon. Purdue beating West Virginia late Thanksgiving night by 12, turning around then on Friday night, the next night, very late night. For those in the Eastern time zone, thank you for staying up late with us Friday night as Purdue beat the 6th-ranked team in the country, Gonzaga, by 18. And then Sunday, yesterday, turning around and beating the 8th-ranked team in the country, the Duke Blue Devils, by 19 points to capture the Phil Knight Legacy Tournament Championship. Coach Bloom, congratulations. That was a fun 4 days.
If you would have said that the West Virginia game, walking off the floor Thursday, if somebody would have said that would be the closest game of the three and you're going to win the next two, you could have won a lot of money if you would have placed that bet. An incredible weekend for the guys. We had a large travel party up there in Portland. A lot of John Purdue Club members came with us. A lot of Purdue fans in the Pacific Northwest joined us in the stands, and that's a huge thing when you go to exempt events. I spoke to the John Purdue Club people on Sunday morning before the Duke game, and I explained the importance of traveling to exempt events, and it means a great deal. We schedule these tournaments 3 and 4 years, 5 years out, and not every team can get into every tournament.
Right.
Like, no disrespect to some other teams in our league, but some of the teams that finish near the bottom of the league, they will never go to Maui. They'll never have that opportunity, and so it's something we don't take for granted. But it's something, too, that you realize, why do you get to go to Maui? You have to have a good team, one, but you also have to have a fan base that travels, and our fan base has proven they travel to these events, and it was great for them to be able to share in those 2-3 wins with us this weekend.
And by the way, a little pre-promotion there by Coach Bloom. Purdue is in Maui next year, 2023, for those that might be interested in joining us. Phone number is 1-888-246-2678, 1-888-246-2678. If you'd like to join Elliot Bloom and myself tonight to talk Purdue basketball. Already the phone callers are lining up, so let's head right to the phones. Chuck in Indianapolis will be first. Chuck, welcome to the show. You're on with Elliot and myself.
Thank you so much, guys, for being here for this. I need to use your platform to apologize to a bunch of Purdue fans that showed up for the bucket game. I know I wouldn't sit down at the 10 rows up at the 50-yard line, but it was too hard not to. And to the IU fans that were yelling profanities at me and my family, a big bird back to them. But it's a breath of fresh air to see a squad that can go out there and handle a press like they did, so maturely. No bad passes. Let's just take it in stride. Boiler up, and Charlie Jones, you're the man, giving that young man next to me your gloves after that football game. Boiler up, folks. Roll.
Chuck, thank you. Chuck mentioned the turnovers. Now, Chuck is obviously looking this through.
Chuck mentioned a lot of things.
Yeah.
Strong call to start.
But if we're talking basketball only, he mentioned the lack of turnovers. Now, Chuck, thank you for your enthusiasm, but I would back up just a little bit. Those 18 turnovers against West Virginia, I know, didn't set real well with Coach Painter in that opening game.
Yeah, turnovers, when you play West Virginia, turnovers are going to happen. And that's something that I'd be hard-pressed to find a box score from a West Virginia game where the team that they were playing didn't probably go over their typical average in terms of turnovers. And that's a byproduct of a couple things. Not a lot of teams play that style, and so that's hard to adjust to. And West Virginia, to be honest, they foul a great deal, and the refs can't call every single foul. And that's part of their strategy. They want to get physical with teams, and I thought for the most part our guys rose to the occasion. I thought we were kind of a deer in the headlights for the first probably 10 minutes of that game.
Yeah.
It was probably a combination of this is a new setting, it's a neutral floor. For our guys, we had a scrimmage away from Mackey, which is not the same feeling as when you put fans in the stands. And it's your first neutral site game in a big-time tournament on national television. And so there's an adjustment period there. And, you're not necessarily – you don't have that comfort of playing in Mackey with a home crowd. So I thought the guys, after that 10-minute stretch, the last 30 minutes were really, really good. And they were able to execute down the stretch in a game that got down to 6 points. We ended up hitting a monster 3 in that second half when Ethan Morton found Braden Smith over there. So they executed when in crunch time like that, when the game starts to tighten up a little bit, and West Virginia needed to stop and we need to execute. We showed that we did. But the West Virginia game was one of many instances this year where we played a Marquette team that they got after you full court.
Right.
And we knew that. Coach alluded to that all summer. He said, we've got a schedule here that shows that we've got Marquette, West Virginia, and Florida State. And those are 3 teams that pride themselves on pressure defense. So we've been working on this for quite a while. We spent a lot of time in the fall. I think we probably worked against the press and pressure defense more than we ever have coming into a season.
And by the way, speaking of handling the pressure, only 11 turnovers against Duke yesterday, but I would make this note, 5 of those turnovers came in the first 4 minutes of the game for Purdue yesterday. Then Purdue settled in after that really tough start and handled the ball much better, obviously, the rest of the way with only 7 turnovers after that. Back to the phones we go. Drew is calling in from Raleigh. I'll assume Raleigh, North Carolina. Drew, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I just want to first and foremost say thank you to you, Elliot, the rest of the support staff, the assistant coaches, Coach Painter, just for what you guys have done for this program, what you've done for Purdue. I think Shaka Smart said it really well in his press conference after the game a couple weeks ago. But, you know, the entire staff doesn't get enough credit for what they do, and also that you guys do things the right way. I think, you know, the current landscape of college basketball, there's a narrative that it's impossible to not give guys what they want, to keep them in school to graduate, and you consistently graduate guys that can play 30 minutes elsewhere redshirt because they believe you're not selling them a bill of goods, but would rather develop them and make them better players. So I just want to say, I've wanted to say that for a long time, but just the opportunity to say that right here, you know, thank you for everything that you guys do. I had 2 questions real quick, just scheduling. First off, thanks for taking matters into your own hands with the Big Ten ACC Challenge, giving the fans another matchup with Duke. That was cool. How do things change from a scheduling perspective with the announcement earlier today that this is probably the last Big Ten ACC Challenge coming to a close, and how does that open things up for scheduling next year? And you guys already alluded to it, but just way in advance, but curious what the ticket process and securing tickets for Maui will look like next year. Thanks again for taking my call.
Well, first we'll get to the Maui question. That'll be through John Purdue Club, through Priority Points. So that will be a very, very hot ticket. So if you don't have luck there, then obviously the secondary market, which probably isn't the greatest answer. But that's a small gym in Maui, so tickets are going to be hard to come by. It's a high school gym feel out there, and they don't have a lot of capacity in that stadium, or that gym rather. Back to your previous question about scheduling. The ACC Challenge was announced this week. This will be the last year, so it creates some opportunities. I know our fans are going to be really devastated that we're not going to be able to schedule Florida State again. You know, we've grown so accustomed to that natural rivalry that you're really going to be bummed. But it allows us to really kind of branch out and get creative on some things. You know, we're kind of in a phase as a program where our name keeps getting better and better, and that's a testament to Coach Painter and the players that we keep recruiting. But they keep putting us in positions so where a lot of people are coming at us to try to get them to play in not only in their preseason tournaments, but in a lot of one-off games. A lot of opportunities have kind of popped up. Last year, you remember, we played NC State in the Barclays Center out in New York and out in Brooklyn. And my phone, my email, is constantly filling up with promoters and people that want to get us in their events. There's a couple really, really exciting things that we're kind of in the works right now. I can't really get much out there because I don't want to get people's hopes up. But if a couple of those materialize, it'll be really exciting. We continue to want to have a presence in Indianapolis, and I know that the backstory is of why it's hard to get a really marquee name in Indianapolis is we're not in a position right now to be able to return that game. So ideally, we'd love to get Gonzaga to come to Indy, and then we would go to Seattle and play Gonzaga in a return game. The issue is we don't always have the room on our schedule to go return that game. So, you know, you end up committing to 2 really good games then. If you're playing one in Indy and then returning it to somebody else, that's a kind of a 2-game commitment. So our game this year against Davidson in Indianapolis, we're not going back to, you know, Carolina to play Davidson in Charlotte, for instance. So the bigger name opponent would really kind of command a game back in their neck of the woods, and we're not in a position to do that. But with the challenge going away, that does create an opening, and we're going to have to kind of evaluate that. It's so new to us that it's going away. We're kind of in the stages right now where we're kind of sorting through all the options. So long story short, I don't have a concrete answer of which direction we're going to go in, but there's so many opportunities on the table. I think everybody will be happy with what we decide on. We just haven't really landed in that spot yet. I know we always want to try to get a big name to come to Mackey. We will do that for sure next year. We'll have a big name that will come in from a power conference. So I don't know who that is yet, but we're confident that'll get done. And then we'll just kind of see as we sort through all this stuff.
Everyone needs a little playing time, so before a Purdue basketball game or any time throughout the week, stop by Walk-Ons here in the Purdue Memorial Union, where it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana. Walk-Ons, the host of the Matt Painter Radio Show. It's presented by GEMCO. Elliott Bloom filling in tonight. We'll talk more Boiler Hoops in a moment. This is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Guy who tore his ACL and MCL, missed all of last year. Edey a touch. Edey a finish.
That's much better action. They ran cutters. Well, Purdue was in such a hurry early on. Great angle to the basket. That was beautiful. They got it to a position, and that's a beautiful angle from which to feed the post.
Smith, a guy not really recruited by a lot of high major teams, as Edey swats that one away.
Good speed. Just blew by Lawyer. He comes from behind there just to...
Over the top, inside, nothing you can do about that.
I mean, they average 62% from two-point range, and they just got cut up on that out-of-bounds underplay to give up a dunk to Caleb First. Caleb First, just the second cutter.
Boy, what a swing that would have been for the Zags. Smith the handoff, and First the finish.
Boy, Braden Smith has made some big plays, even though to get it over the outstretched arm of Zach Edey.
Beautiful look from Smith into Edey.
Boy, it's amazing. How do you lose Zach Edey up?
And a foul and a chance for 3.
What's wrong with you guys up in Canada? You couldn't spot that he was a hooper from the beginning?
Smith, behind the back. What a play!
Another big guy on Edey. That means that Timmy's got to chase. Boy, he took a shot, too, after he let the ball go. Boy, what a beautiful feed. Just not a rotation, because the other perimeter players, instead of being able to rotate down.
And they'll use it. Smith into Edey for 2 more.
That's asking too much.
Is Purdue's accredited and affordable online solution for working adults. Persistence pays off at Purdue Global. This is the Matt Painter Radio Show presented by GEMCO. Coach Painter and the rest of the staff are at Mackey Arena right now. Purdue practicing in preparation for the Wednesday night game against Florida State in Tallahassee. 7:15 is the tip-off for that one, fans, in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. Elliott Bloom, the Director of Basketball Operations for Purdue Basketball, is joining me. Just to kind of piggyback on what Drew was talking about in the phone call a moment ago before we went to our commercial break, the Big Ten ACC Challenge is going away. This is the last year for it, mainly, as you well know here, Elliott, and I'll let you explain, because the television network deals are changing. With Fox taking on the Big Ten games, ESPN staying with ACC, I don't think we could get both networks to play nice long enough to keep this thing going.
Yeah, TV dictates everything. They ordered everybody's food here tonight at Walk-Ons. They have a say in everything that goes on now. So it's the new reality, what ends up happening in this instance is that the ACC Big Ten Challenge was something started by ESPN. At that time, both the ACC and the Big Ten were partners with ESPN. The new TV deal that was just negotiated and finalized in the last few months for the Big Ten, we have moved away from ESPN. So, you know, we're gonna enter into a new era here next year where we're going to be on FS1 and the Big Ten Network and Fox like we have been. We're going to be on CBS like we have been. There'll be a lot more football games now, or there'll be football games now on CBS, which didn't occur in the past. And then a new partner, NBC and the Peacock Network, enter the picture. And so a lot of those games that were on ESPN before, from a football standpoint, will now move over to CBS and to NBC. From a basketball standpoint, a lot of games that you will see this year on ESPN will start to move over. We will have a bigger presence on CBS, and then we will start to you will start to see basketball games on NBC and the Peacock Network. So that's the reason ESPN will retain the ACC. And so if we wanted to maintain the challenge, we were going to have to get the Big Ten, ACC, Fox, and ESPN all get in the same room and play nice. And they tried, and it didn't work out.
Of course they didn't. Chad in Evansville, stay on the line. We're coming to you next after this 2-minute timeout. It's the Matt Painter Show, brought to you by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. And this is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
You may have to change your entire game plan to deal with.
And there's the first of many touches. No double team. And Edey gets the roll.
Zach Edey gets the ball just off the block. Bell does a good job of pushing him off the block. And he's got his back to the basket, just sort of backing him down. Talk about a well-conceived offense. I don't think anybody's better. Good pass.
Lawyer inside and first with a finish.
First is left-handed. He might have said, remember me?
I'm that guy. The two freshman starters over the top. Morton finds Edey.
And when your hands aren't up, you're not taking away vision.
Down to 8, and the Boilermakers with a chance to get the last shot of the first half. Gillis from deep in the corner hits a three. Are going to celebrate on Saturday because they got a basketball game coming up in about an hour, and we'll have it for you here as they take on Portland State. Robinson is down behind the play, trying to get up, but unable to really put any weight on his left leg. Jimmy Bell Jr.'s come back into the game with 3 fouls as well now for West Virginia. Waddell with a baseline drive and a nice little shovel pass to finish.
There is plenty of time left in this game. I mean, 10 points is not a big spread here.
Make it 12. Waddell with a beautiful feed to Edey. Bonus for Purdue, but West Virginia going to the line as well.
Court spread, the baseline drive. Now they bring the double. He can just see over the top of it.
Does a good job not bringing the ball down, too. Smith with the offensive rebound. What a pass. And Gillis with a finish and a foul.
Has been difficult. Edey keeping it alive, kicks it out, and then Morton with just a great look underneath to Gillis.
Matt Painter Radio Show presented by GEMCO, live tonight at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana. I'm Rob Blackman. Joining me tonight, Elliot Bloom, the Director of Basketball Ops for Purdue men's basketball. Coach Painter over in Mackey Arena with practice with our ball club. Schedule got thrown a little bit out of sorts today when our team plane coming in from Portland last night arrived at 4:15 this morning here at the Purdue airport. So things a little bit out of kilter. That's why Elliot's kind enough to fill in for us tonight. The phone number 1-888-246-2678. And with that, we go to Chad in Evansville. Chad, welcome. You're on the show.
Hey, thanks, gentlemen, for taking my phone call. First off, what a great showing this weekend out in Portland. Very excited for the rest of the season. But could you guys talk about this year's jerseys? You guys have definitely hit a home run with them. I think they're awesome looking. And can you tell us about how they go about designing those, or do you guys sit down and talk about it? Do the players have input on them, you know, with all these kids liking the swag and all that stuff? And then how many pairs of shoes do the fellas go through in a year?
Great question. So the jerseys, yes, they are new. We have, I guess, worn our whites, our blacks, and our golds so far. There'll be some more surprises down the line later in the year in that regard. The process with Nike starts pretty far in advance. We started working on these probably a year and a half ago. They have a pretty intense process. They have designers that will meet with us. We had a bunch of Zoom meetings. They wanted to kind of get our input, what we liked and didn't like about our old jerseys. I am the first one. I kind of oversee the process, but I'm the first one to admit that I want no parts of the design process. I don't want to. That's too much pressure for me. So I usually turn to P.J. Thompson, to be honest, on our staff. He's a younger guy. He's got a really good pulse of what our players like. And so I'll go to him and say, all right, get in this room with me, get on these phone calls with me, and help me figure out what's cool and what's not. So we had some conversations with Nike, and then they kind of start developing, a different look and a different feel, and they ask you kind of what you're looking for, how many you want, different jerseys you want, what do you want them to include. So it's a long process, but we were really pleased with how they turned out. And I know Chris Foreman, our SID, he's got a little bit more of a pulse of what our fans are talking about and different things like that. When we did kind of the jersey unveil and that kind of thing, he said, yeah, it's kind of a mixed review, and he gets a lot more worked up over that stuff than I do. As long as our players like them, that's really all that the staff cares about. And we let the guys determine which jersey they wear for each game. So our equipment manager, Alec, will go to them and basically ask the captains, what are we wearing tonight, and then they decide. So we had our white ones and our gold ones out there in Portland, and he asked them which one they wanted to wear. They wanted to go gold. That's what we did. The Marquette game, we actually wore black because Marquette did not have two of their road blacks in yet from their vendor. So they asked if we could go black and they could wear their home whites because they actually had their full complement of jerseys. So that's why we did that in that game. What was the other part of that question?
No, that was it. That was about the uniforms.
Okay.
Yeah, and getting to pick them. And that, by the way, Chad, thank you. We've had some excellent questions tonight, which, again, are Elliott Bloom specific. We've had these questions over the years, and Coach Paint always says, I don't know, you'll have to ask Elliott.
Well, really with the uniforms, he's out to lunch in the uniforms. He's not out to lunch in many things. But with uniforms, that's one area he chooses to not have any interest in. They asked him earlier at the beginning of the year, after that first game, they said, do you like the new uniforms? He said, I could care less.
How many shoes do the guys go through?
Oh, yeah. That's right.
The shoes.
The shoe question. There was a shoe question.
The shoe question. So we've been with Nike since 1980, and every year Nike sends photos of different shoes that they are offering that year. Our equipment guy, Alec, then will get with each guy. He has a bunch of boxes of shoes in our practice gym. The guys show up and kind of look at each one, put a couple of them on, figure out what they like, what they don't like, and then they'll go through a 2-week trial at the end of the summer, early fall, and as long as the shoe feels good, then Alec will order those for basically the entire year. Guys are different in shoes. Some guys go through shoes a little bit quicker than others. Sometimes guys are really rough on shoes and wear them out more than others, but they're never in need of shoes. We have plenty of shoes to go around. The only guy that kind of gets the short end of the stick is Zach. Zach wears a size 20, which is the second biggest shoes we've ever had. Isaac had 22s, but Zach has a size 20, and they don't offer a lot of styles for Zach. So I actually feel really bad for the guy because sometimes Nike will send through, hey, we're trying these out, for tournament time, or, in this case for the tournament in Portland, the guy's got a special pair of shoe, and they didn't make him in size 20. So I think Zach even said something to Mr. Knight when we were out there about, hey, can we make a little bit more variety in the size 20s? So
poor Zach. It must be tough to be
Poor
7'4".
Zach. It's tough being an MVP. I mean, it's tough.
He was MVP of the Phil Knight Legacy Tournament, for those who did not see that yesterday. And also, tip of the cap to Ethan Morton, who was also named to the All-Tournament team. By the way, earlier this afternoon, actually just about, maybe 2 hours ago, we also found out that Zach Edey named the Big Ten Player of the Week for his efforts. And Fletcher Lawyer, Freshman of the Week. So Purdue goes back-to-back on the Freshman of the Week. Braden Smith last week, and now Fletcher Lawyer this week. Time now for our Pro Boilers feature, where we take a look at how former Purdue student-athletes are doing in their professional sports careers. Pro Boilers, presented by Indiana Kitchen Premium Pork Products. Get to know us at indianakitchen.com. Both our Pro Boilers and Indiana Kitchen are boiler-made And tonight we give a salute to Rondale Moore of the Arizona Cardinals, the second-round draft pick out of Purdue back in the 2021 draft. Playing this season as a wide receiver for the Cardinals, 41 catches, 41 catches on the season for Rondale, 414 yards, and 1 touchdown so far this year for Rondale for the Cardinals, who aren't having the best of seasons. They're currently 4-8 in the NFC West, but still maybe some time for them to turn it around. More in a moment when we come back to the Matt Painter Show presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker Basketball from Learfield.
Note with O'Connell how accurate he was in the bucket game last year. Mockabee makes a cut inside the 15-yard line. 55 yards on the ground so far for Purdue after a gain of 3. O'Connell looking left, throws. There's Charlie Jones in space. Charlie Jones is free. Charlie Jones across midfield. And tripped up inside the 40. 95 receptions this season, has 2 tonight. O'Connell to Durham. Goal line, power, touchdown Purdue. And the Boilermakers have the lead. Purdue, the linebacker. Mockabee left side. Makes a cut inside the 10. Another cut, touchdown Purdue. Mockabee, crazy legs on display. The first down. Mockabee picks up the blitz. O'Connell time. Jones wide open. Inside the 10. Touchdown Purdue. Once again to his buddy from the Chicago suburbs. Charlie Jones. That pairing does it again this time.
Taking some hits. You start letting the ball go a little too soon.
3rd and 10. Purdue brings 4 and they're going to get home. A sack near the 1. Going for it. Bazelak rolling in his own end zone, trying to keep the play alive, and now throws. That's caught nowhere near the line of the game by Bennett. And he has the ball ripped away by Corey Trice, and it's a touchdown for Purdue. Any chance to keep this possession alive, and Corey Trice just stole that ball away from Hope Bennett.
Graham tipped it. Well, let's watch it from here. There's the catch. Oh, no, this is a fumble. He had control of it. Then there's the tip drill, and then he just pulled it out of his hands, and it's 6 quick.
Walk-ons in the Purdue Memorial Union. Everyone needs a little playing time, so before a Purdue basketball game or any time throughout the week, stop by Walk-ons here in the Purdue Memorial Union, where it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana. What a last few days we have had as fans of Purdue athletics. Purdue women's basketball team going 2-1 in Cancun. Their only loss, a 1-point loss to Florida State. Dave Shondell and the volleyball Boilermakers are back in the NCAA tournament. They found out yesterday an at-large berth. They'll be headed to the Bluegrass State for a match on Friday at 6. I think that's 6 o'clock Friday night for Dave Shondell. Purdue football, West Division champions. And, of course, Purdue basketball winning the Phil Knight Legacy Tournament in Portland. With that, let's go back to the phones. Matt in South Bend, welcome to the show, Matt.
Thank you, gentlemen. Had a wonderful time down around Bloomington on Saturday, and just want to pass along. I had a question about promotional stuff. I know the NIL is a big part of it. Didn't know if you ever thought about putting some DVDs together, some of the Kramer antics or maybe Trevion Williams passes, and putting those together and put them for sale, build up some of that NIL money. Let me know what you think. Go Boilers!
Is that, I don't know, is that even allowed, Elliot? Is that legal? I don't know.
I'm guessing probably not. I don't think we could sell that footage. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to do a bake sale or something. I don't know. The NIL stuff has been obviously, a lot of changes in our world in college athletics, and the NIL is one thing, one of the major things. What I would say about NIL stuff is, at the end of the day, and I've said this to a handful of groups that I've spoken to, is that the NIL for us anyway, and I can't speak for every program, but for Purdue basketball, it has not changed the core things that we sell recruits. And the core things that we sell recruits are, come to this university, get a world-class education, play for Matt Painter, which is probably the biggest draw, play in front of the fans in Mackey Arena and get to play in front of that environment and walk out in 4 or 5 years with a degree and a 50-year commitment from the Purdue basketball family. And that's really what we continue to sell. That's what we're always going to sell. That's going to be the kind of the pillars. Those are the pillars of what we believe in, that the young men that we get to come play for us, that's the most important thing. Is NIL a factor? Absolutely. And that is a piece of what we sell, but it's not one of the core pieces. And hopefully we continue to find young men who believe the same things we do and that really value the 50-year commitment that they make to Purdue basketball.
GEMCO Constructors is supporting your Boilermakers. They're the presenting sponsor of this Matt Painter Show tonight and every Monday night. And a proud partner of Purdue Athletics. GEMCO Constructors says Boiler up. More in a moment on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Deflected, stolen away. Filipowski reaches out and grabs him.
Just a good deflection and really smart by Lawyer to jump it.
Like free throw attempts for Purdue as their opponents.
And they make more than their opponents even attempt. Now you got a mouse in the house, Roach on first. What a pass.
You got a mouse and you got a Roach. You got some problems right now. Shot clock at 5. Jenkins, tough turnaround, yes.
That does not bother David Jenkins to be in a late clock situation. Jenkins operating late in the shot clock. Got a little bit of help from Ryan Young there. That's a big-time shot. He's just got a great feel as a post player.
Redshirt freshman, pretty good backup for Zach Edey at the 5 spot.
Boy, if Purdue plays this way without Zach Edey on the floor, this is a formidable squad that Matt Painter has put together. Smith's so good at feeding the post. Uses ball fakes.
So tough to stop when he gets to that left shoulder.
Purdue gets everybody off the left side to allow him to go one-on-one in the post.
Gillis, a nice cross-court look to Smith.
What great passing.
Can't do it any better than that.
That is just big time. For this Purdue team is just excellent. Great pass by Braden Smith, gets it to Moore.
Lawyer off a screen. Long rebound to Smith. And Edey one-on-one overpowers Mitchell for the slam.
And Morton with another great pass. And Zach Edey, we've talked about that left shoulder. And Mark Mitchell tried to get...
You want to drop? There he is, coming up with a steal and off to the races. You want to call him an elite glue guy, or is he above that level?
Welcome back to the Matt Painter Radio Show presented by GEMCO. Live at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana. Rob Blackman here with Elliot Bloom. Elliot, the Director of Basketball Operations for Purdue men's basketball. Filling in for Coach Paint tonight. Coach Bloom and the rest of the staff and the team headed to Tallahassee for Wednesday night's Big Ten ACC Challenge. That is a 7:15 tip-off time, fans. A little bit of an odd tip time there, but 7:15. Our pregame show will begin at 6 right here on the Purdue Radio Network. So 6 o'clock from Tallahassee with a 7:15 tip. Also, I want to make a mention with Purdue football coming up Saturday night in Lucas Oil Stadium for the Big Ten Championship against second-ranked Michigan. We, too, will begin our broadcast for Purdue football at 6 o'clock on Saturday night. 6 o'clock here on the network. We're going to start it out with Boilermaker Sports Wrap at 6. And then that will lead us right into the Purdue pregame show at 7 and the kickoff shortly after 8 o'clock for Purdue and Michigan on Saturday.
You're going to be busy.
Yes, but that's a fun kind of busy.
How are you going to do that extra 15 minutes in Tallahassee? Ooh.
That'll be. I'll have to find a special guest to help me kill some time. Looking back at the 3 games, Elliot, one thing I heard you and the rest of the staff talk a lot about while we were in Portland is the fact that none of the 3 games were error-free. There were many mistakes at both ends of the floor by our Boilermakers. But the one thing that pleased you guys the most, that the effort and the toughness was never in question that entire weekend.
Yeah, I think Coach said it before every game. He said, whatever happens tonight, we want to walk off the floor and we want everybody in the stands to say that Purdue played harder. And he really felt that if that happened, that we would like the result. And I think it's safe to say that on each game, when we left the floor, we were the harder playing team, and that's really what you want. This time of year, every team is going to be a different version of itself by February, by March. Even starting in January when you get to conference play. But early on, you want to be able to set the tone of the level you want to play at in terms of effort and hustle. And I think that was one of the most satisfying things coming out of the weekend, is that all 3 games against really, really quality opponents, really good quality coaches. I mean, look at some of those guys that are on the other sideline with Bob Huggins and Mark Few, and obviously John Shire just kind of starting out. But great programs, great coaches, and to be able to have your guys play at a higher level, I think was really, really something that we can point to and draw from as we go forward.
More with Coach Bloom in a moment. It's the Matt Painter Show presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Guy who tore his ACL and MCL, missed all of last year. Edey a touch. Edey a finish.
That's much better action. They ran cutters. Well, Purdue was in such a hurry early on. Great angle to the basket. That was beautiful. They got it to a position, and that's a beautiful angle from which to feed the post.
Smith, a guy not really recruited by a lot of high major teams, as Edey swats that one away.
Good speed. Just blew by Lawyer. He comes from behind there just to...
Over the top, inside, nothing you can do about that.
I mean, they average 62% from two-point range, and they just got cut up on that out-of-bounds underplay to give up a dunk to Caleb First. Caleb First, just the second cutter.
Boy, what a swing that would have been for the Zags. Smith the handoff, and First the finish.
Boy, Braden Smith has made some big plays, even though to get it over the outstretched arm of Zach Edey.
Beautiful look from Smith into Edey.
Boy, it's amazing. How do you lose Zach Edey up?
And a foul and a chance for 3.
What's wrong with you guys up in Canada? You couldn't spot that he was a hooper from the beginning?
Smith, behind the back. What a play!
Another big guy on Edey. That means that Timmy's got to chase. Boy, he took a shot, too, after he let the ball go. Boy, what a beautiful feed. Just not a rotation, because the other perimeter players, instead of being able to rotate down.
And they'll use it. Smith into Edey for 2 more.
That's asking too much.
Tonight at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, it's for Purdue basketball. Matt Painter Show, to be exact. 6 o'clock on Monday nights, that's where you'll find us talking Purdue basketball every Monday night throughout the basketball season. Elliot Bloom filling in for Coach Painter here tonight. Thanks to everyone who's made us a part of your evening, whether you're watching us maybe on Facebook or on the YouTube channel or Twitter Live, or maybe just listening on the radio the old-fashioned way. Thank you for being with us on this Monday. All right, so here we go, Elliot. As I've mentioned a couple of times now, arriving around about 4:15 this morning back in West Lafayette, but there's no rest for the weary. Right back on a plane tomorrow night to head to Tallahassee. Wednesday night, 7:15 game against Florida State. To be fair, the Seminoles have struggled this year. They are 1-7 on the season, but they are playing at home, and they have always given us a challenge.
Yeah, the talent is there. They have a really, really talented roster, and so even though they've had some early season struggles, you really hope that they don't get it figured out when you're in town. Let's hope they get it figured out on Saturday, whoever they have this weekend, and we can get down there and compete and try to get a much needed road victory. Our resume is looking pretty good, but anytime you can win on the road against a Power 5 team, that certainly helps. And the last time we went down there, we led most of the game and ended up not finishing. So it's another opportunity. Our guys, with the youth of our team, there were going to be moments this year, as well as we played in Portland, there are going to be moments throughout the year where the youth comes through and shows, and this is going to be the first true road game. And so these guys are going to have moments where they may not, appear to be themselves. They may need a Snickers bar so they can get back to where they need to get. But if that's the case, it's going to be how quickly they adjust and adapt and how well other guys can step up to help them out.
I thought we saw that yesterday early in the game with Braden Smith. He was not his typical Braden Smith self. That's where you say thank goodness for David Jenkins Jr. because David filled in until Braden could kind of get himself settled back into the game.
And I thought that was the case in the West Virginia game, too. I think West Virginia and Duke both slow starts out of the gate for Braden. David came in and did a great job of kind of calming the team down, kind of carrying the load a little bit early on. And then on the flip side, David wasn't the best in the beginning of the Gonzaga game.
Right,
and Braden was. So the group we have, Coach has been playing 10 guys, and they complement each other really well. We've got a low ego group, and so the challenge for the staff is to keep it that way and keep everybody believing in the mission. And we have a lot of basketball to go. There's going to be a lot of adversity that hits, and how well we adjust to that adversity will determine the level of success and whether or not we can maintain that.
And with a young team, as Purdue has, how does this group now handle this success? You've gone from unranked to start the season to now you're the 5th best team in the country, according to the Associated Press.
Yeah, and we talked about it a little bit. We'll talk about it more here in the next week. We won a preseason event last year that had really good teams in it too.
Yep.
And that doesn't guarantee you anything. We came home from Connecticut last year 2-0, and we were riding pretty high. And that didn't take long for that to wear off, and Wisconsin to come in here and humble us. So, our Big Ten season starting this weekend, and we have a great test on Wednesday down in Tallahassee. So, it's the job of the coaches to try to keep the guys humble and hungry, and hopefully we can go down there Wednesday and play just as hard as we did those 3 games up in Portland.
I'm glad you bring up that event last year in Connecticut. Think about North Carolina. They left that event last year 0-2, and all the basketball experts around the country, what's wrong with North Carolina? Well, they ended up winning the national championship, so I think they were okay. They responded well to a tough November.
Well, they're a team that is loaded with talent, and they obviously, as the season went on, they runner-up. They lost the game.
Lost the game. Made to the championship game, right.
But they're a team that was a perfect example. They were in January, and they were floundering, and a lot of people thought, are they going to get in the tournament?
That's right.
It just goes to show you, and I think you're going to see more and more of that in this kind of quote-unquote new age of college basketball with the portal and with NIL and things like that. People are piecing together teams more and more. They're not growing teams. And so you're seeing a lot of teams that kind of get put together in the offseason, and so you're seeing that those teams are going to take a lot longer to figure out what you have. They're going to take a lot longer to gel. You're going to need more practice time. You're going to need more competition together to figure out kind of what you have. So all those exempt events that everybody watched on Feast Week and this, the last 2 weeks in college basketball, there'll be a lot of teams that will get better and be different teams after the new year. There'll also be some teams that played really well in November that fall apart as you get to the new year for a variety of reasons. So.
Let us hope our Boilermakers are not in that category. Final segment of the Coach Painter Show when we come back. This is the Purdue Global Sports Network, and this is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
You may have to change your entire game plan to deal with.
And there's the first of many touches. No double team. And Edey gets the roll.
Zach Edey gets the ball just off the block. Bell does a good job of pushing him off the block. And he's got his back to the basket, just sort of backing him down. Talk about a well-conceived offense. I don't think anybody's better. Good pass.
Lawyer inside and First with a finish.
First is left-handed. He might have said, remember me?
I'm that guy. The 2 freshman starters over the top. Morton finds Edey.
And when your hands aren't up, you're not taking away vision.
Down to 8, and the Boilermakers with a chance to get the last shot of the first half. Gillis from deep in the corner hits a 3. Are going to celebrate on Saturday because they got a basketball game coming up in about an hour, and we'll have it for you here as they take on Portland State. Stevenson is down behind the play, trying to get up, but unable to really put any his left leg. Jimmy Bell Jr.'s come back into the game with 3 fouls as well now for West Virginia. Waddell with a baseline drive and a nice little shovel pass to finish.
There is plenty of time left in this game. I mean, 10 points is not a big spread here.
Make it 12. Waddell with a beautiful feed to Edey. Bonus for Purdue, but West Virginia going to the line as well.
Court spread, the baseline drive. Now they bring the double. He can just see over the top of it.
Does a good job not bringing the ball down, too. Smith with the offensive rebound. What a pass. And Gillis with a finish and a foul.
Has been difficult. Edey keeping it alive, kicks it out, and then Morton with just a great look underneath to Gillis.
Couple of quick notes before we say so long here from Walk-Ons for the Matt Painter Radio Show. Thank you to our in-studio audience who reminded me not to show up here next Monday because we don't have a coaches show next Monday. Coaches shows next week is on Tuesday. So next Tuesday, Matt Painter Show here at Walk-Ons at 6 o'clock. Purdue basketball this week, Wednesday night, 6 o'clock for the pregame show, 7:15 for the tip, Purdue at Florida State, and then the Big Ten opener Sunday, Mackey Arena, 5 p.m., Purdue and Minnesota. Minnesota playing tonight, by the way, in the Big Ten ACC Challenge against Virginia Tech, if you want to get a scouting report on the Golden Gophers. Purdue football, Saturday, Big Ten championship game. Our broadcast coverage on the radio network will begin at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, Purdue playing second-ranked Michigan for the Big Ten championship, Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. 6 o'clock, our broadcast crew will take the airwaves to talk Purdue football. 8 o'clock for the kickoff or shortly thereafter in downtown Indianapolis. All right, a quick nugget for you. We believe this is correct, fans, but don't hold me to this. I can't verify this with a blue check mark for the moment, but we're still digging. But we think this is correct. We being myself, Bobby Riddell, and Chris Foreman, our sports information director for men's basketball. We believe that when Mason Gillis scored 14 points in the game Friday night against Gonzaga, that was the most points ever scored by a Purdue player on his birthday. Remember, Friday was Mason's birthday, and he scored 14 points. Now, I know what you're thinking. If your birthday isn't basically from, November to March, you really don't even have a chance to set that record. But we looked it up. Guys like Rick Mount and Big Dog, they had January birthdays. But they never even played a game on their birthday, at Purdue anyway. So for the moment, we do think Mason Gillis, the record holder, most points ever scored on his birthday, 14. If someone can dispute that and you have the evidence, feel free to call me up and let me know. But for the moment, Mason is the winner. Thank you to Jacob Smith for helping tonight. Thanks to Wes Scott. Thanks to Hunter. For Elliot Bloom, I'm Rob Blackman. We'll talk to you Wednesday from Tallahassee. Have a great night, everyone.